Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Kevin O'Sullivan.
Oh, there you are. Welcome to another spectacular edition of Plank of the Week. And with me today is an equally spectacular panel. I've got the remarkable Alex Phillips, historian Rafe Heydel-Mankoo, the brilliant Candice Holdsworth, and the average Pete Barnes. No, brilliant Pete Barnes as well. Let's get going. Alex, I think you've got the first nomination.
David Lammy. I mean, I'm beginning
that's the end of the show.
Yeah, I'm beginning to kind of like David Lammy because he's actually comedy gold. I mean, he's fairly dangerous. He wants to get rid of juries in part, and he's clearly a buffoon. But he never fails to deliver, does he? So this time, what's he done? What do we pick out of?
He's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, what do we pick this week? I mean, he's lost a load of prisoners again. Brilliant. This early release system just isn't working. Because it's all done on pen and paper. Did you know this? It's not
they
like
don't have computers in most of our prisons.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, right, you know, Derek, it's your... Off you go then, lad. And it's like, who let Derek out? Oh, for God's sakes.
How hard is it to keep the right prisoners in? You know?
You would think.
It's all right. They go, our prisons are so Victorian. Well, they are literally, when it comes to their bureaucracy, Victorian.
Yeah, exactly.
Pens and paper.
Problems in Quill.
Yeah. Sorry, continue,
If they only
Alex.
were Victorian prisons and didn't have sort of, you know, PlayStations and yoga retreats in them. Yeah. So he's lost a load of prisoners. But then on top of that, it turns out, since he's become Chief Justice, Lord, whatever it is, there he is, Mozart biopic.
He's gone great.
But, the other thing is we find out he's removed a picture of the Queen from the wall. They're all doing this, aren't they, with their redecorating. Oh, don't want her. What's the point of having her up? She's dead now. And replaced it with some sort of Pan-African flag thing. Like...
Two Pan-African flags.
Like, dude, first of all, he ain't from Africa, I don't think. I think he's from the Caribbean. But also, you're in the UK government, son. What are you doing with all these African flags? You want to go and, be in Africa, go be in Africa. I love a bit of Africa, great. I've lived and worked all over Africa. I don't, hang the Kenyan flag outside my house because that's weird.
You don't?
I
do. No, I mean, this is when he was Foreign Secretary, and one of his first acts was to walk into the Foreign Office, the big department, hauled down this lovely black and white stylish photograph of the Queen, which, there it is, which had adorned the wall for many a long year. Pull it down, and as you say, Alex, replace it with two Pan-African flags.
Well, I said at the time he was Foreign Secretary, someone needs to explain being Foreign Secretary doesn't mean you put foreign interests ahead of British interests. I think he didn't get that memo. But it just speaks to a bigger issue here, of course. People think, oh, well, it's just a picture of the Queen. Actually, it's the only picture of the Queen in the entire Foreign Office collection. And Britain still ranks as the world's #2 soft power. And part of that is because of our iconic images. And it's the way you portray Britain to the world. And all the diplomats coming into the Foreign Office would expect to see Churchill, to see the Queen, our most iconic symbols. Instead, all they see is a government that's prioritising ideology, far-left ideology, over Britain's national interests.
Absolutely. You know what I think, Candice? I did this story the other night on my show, the Political Asylum 7 to 10, Monday to Friday, don't ever miss it. My conclusion was, this is more evidence that this cabinet, this Labour government, most of the members of it do not like this country.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is the absolute radical left. And the problem is they received no scrutiny throughout the whole election campaign, and they tried to position themselves as moderate centrists. They were anything but. And I think that it wasn't just David Lammy taking down a picture of the Queen. I mean, you had Rachel Reeves putting up a picture of radical leftist communists. And you wonder why she's done the budget she's done, which has just handed so much more power to the state. These people have ideas, but no one quite knows what they believe in. That's the problem.
Do you remember, Pete, when Keir Starmer had taken down a portrait of Margaret Thatcher from number 10 Downing Street, and everybody said, that's pathetic.
Well, yeah.
But he said, oh, no. It wasn't that it was Margaret Thatcher. It wasn't that it was a Tory. He said, I've always had a thing about portraits and pictures looking down on me.
Yeah.
Now, I thought to myself, we all look down on
I was going to say there's not a single person in the country that doesn't look down at him. But the thing is, he probably took down the picture of Margaret Thatcher and of the Queen because they were competent and good at their jobs. No. The Labour Party don't like to be reminded as to how terrible they are. But I go back to Rafe's point, is actually the Queen was a diplomatic superpower. She was one of the greatest assets this country's ever had, and she helped facilitate more deals than David Lammy could even count up to, let alone anything else. But, I mean, it just strikes me that, David Lammy just is the epitome of everything wrong with this government, is that he just doesn't understand what he's messing with. Because the jury trials thing, for me, is a fundamental right.
Absolutely.
And to mess with that without a
cornerstone of British
staggering.
cornerstone of British justice. And without that, we lose British justice. British justice is destroyed if we don't have trial by jury. Here's a riposte to those of us, which I think is about 99% of the country, don't want to axe juries, trial by juries. He says, well, it's to do with the waiting list. Well, so what, mate? You better get used to it. His riposte to us is, oh, you know, you're just slaves to tradition. It's not tradition that we're worried about.
A little bit of justice, all that.
Liberty, I mean, does that count for nothing?
I think there should be a rule in politics. If Jeremy Corbyn and Nigel Farage both agree something is really serious,
Exactly right.
then it strikes at the heart. 810 years, that's been part of British law.
Well, there was that recent case of Jamie Michael. He was that former Royal Marine who, after the riots, was accused of racial hatred. And he'd said, he pled not guilty. He said, I was not inciting racial hatred. It was my opinion. He went to jury trial and they acquitted him in like 15 minutes. This is the importance, and he would have had a custodial sentence if he'd been found guilty of less than 3 years.
In this country, judges are either capable of being very stupid or actually are very stupid. We need 12 men and women, honest and true, to judge their peers. That's what trial by jury is. And if we get rid of this, our country is lost, I think.
Well,
it's a cornerstone of this country. We better, let's just watch old Robert Jenrick roasting Lammy Dodger.
He's been a man on the run, the Lammy Dodger of this sorry charade for a government. But now today we are blessed with his presence, and his past is catching up with him, because the best opponent of the Justice Secretary's plans to curb jury trials is the Justice Secretary himself. In 2020, he said, criminal trials without juries are a bad idea. But now he's become Justice Secretary, he's scrapping the very institution he once lauded. Which is it? Will the real David Lammy please stand up?
Every PMQs now is a triumph for Kemi Badenoch. She is getting better, but it's not so much her brilliance, it's Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves' abject hopelessness.
It's shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it is.
They make it too easy. I mean, if David Lammy, you know, he's all part of this global socialist thing. He wants to be the blimmin' mayor of Wakanda. Go on, son. Off you go. You go live in your dystopia. It's just these people insult me. But the thing is, we ridicule them, but they're really dangerous. They're actually really dangerous because they are actively giving away British foreign territory. They're actively watering down our justice system. They're actively telling lies to take more taxes, to pay largely. The majority of people with these multi-children families are going to have foreign-born parents. You know, they are actively at high speed doing everything they can to essentially wipe the concept of Britain off the map and replace it with some sort of cog in a global socialist machine. And that stuff is blimmin' hard to reverse.
Well, we used to be, the phrase used to be that Britain is a health system with a country attached. Now I think a more apposite description is Britain is a welfare system with a tiny little country attached, fueling it, feeding it desperately. We better move on. Liar, pants on fire. The government's full of them. Which one have you chosen, Rafe?
Well, such a great selection to choose from, but I've gone with Rachel from Customer Complaints on this occasion.
There she is.
Another
lying.
Gift, another gift that keeps on giving or keeps on taking might be more appropriate, I think, for her. Now, you know, Labour spent so many years condemning the Tories, quite rightly, for lying and being dishonest and using underhand tactics. But they've been doing exactly the same thing, even worse, I would say, because they still try to portray themselves as morally righteous, as decent, and as honest. And I'm sorry, moral and honesty are two words you can't apply to Rachel from Customer Complaints. This is a woman who has misled the public, who has misled the markets, who's misled her own backbenchers, misled her own ministers, and misled the House of Commons. She spent weeks telling us about this £20 billion fiscal black hole. Went on breakfast TV while you're eating your Cheerios to say to you all, we need to repair this, we need to raise income tax and so forth. It turns out that when she said all of that, she knew that there was no fiscal black hole. The OBR told her there wasn't a black hole, there was a little black bonus of £4 billion that could have been used.
That's right.
What it really turns out is that she didn't want that money to repair the fiscal black hole. She wanted that money to pay benefits.
Exactly right, exactly right. You know, and what I find extraordinary about this narrative now with us, the people of this country, you know, quite obviously going, she's a liar, and that guy Starmer, he's a liar. Half of this country, they're lying. So we go, but Rachel, you're lying. No, I'm not. Keir Starmer, you were lying. No, I wasn't. I mean, that is the level of the debate surrounding these idiotic fibbers.
I tell you what's really upsetting me at the moment. I want there to be some sort of national campaign that every time someone from the Labour Party says it's the right thing to do, everyone just has a communal scream.
It's like Death Rigby, the political editor of Sky, who's getting better, actually. She's actually getting physically furious with this government. She's sick of them lying, and she's a big supporter of
See, I think the problem...
And she said to him, you said when you came into power that we literally, as a nation, we can't afford to lift the 2-child cap on benefits for parents, and now you've done that. Were you lying, or you just didn't know? What? And he said, let me answer that. I have always put child poverty first for and square at the centre of Labour policy. That doesn't answer the question. It's what you're saying. It's, but we're lifting children out of poverty.
But it's not, it's relative poverty.
And do we have do we have a child poverty problem?
No, it's relative poverty.
It's a lie, because actually what he's prioritising are his backbenchers.
That's the
He was
point,
so scared of a revolt that he backtracked on income tax. And this child benefit cap, which is about £3 billion it will cost to lift it by the end of the decade, was a fob to the backbenchers. Now, we've just discussed the jury trials. The reason that the jury trials are going out is because they can't afford it, right? It's only cost $2.8 billion to fund the prison service and the court service here. $3 billion of the child benefit cap. You could double the amount of money spent on the court services and eliminate the backlog there and retain our jury service. This is about priorities, and he's prioritising party politics over the national interest.
Before you come in, Pete, let's have a look at Rachel Reeves on Sky being humiliated. Rachel Reeves, the liar, being humiliated by host Trevor Phillips.
Let's remind ourselves of what you said to me 12 months ago.
But what we have
I'm just
done,
saying,
there's
will
no
there
need.
be more tax rises?
No, you're right, Trevor. There is no need to come back with another budget like this. We never need to do that again. We've now, Trevor, set the spending envelope for the remainder of this Parliament. We don't need to increase taxes.
Can't argue with that, can you, Pete?
No, I just imagine in her head that she's got one of those monkeys with the symbols just going like that the entire time. Because the thing is, we can throw all the accusations at them all we like, but they're that lacking in self-awareness and, you know, any amount of dignity that they don't care. That's the thing. Is
I
they get
think
up
she
in
was
front...
squirming.
Yeah,
there.
I have to admit, I think
She was really
she's the weak
squirming.
one because she cried in the comments. Let's not forget. I mean, that was a moment of politics.
She was skewered there, and she knew it.
To me, what set the envelope means.
Well, that's the thing. They
That's
just
new
say
to
this
me. Oh, we've
nonsense.
set the envelope.
Yeah.
What? The obvious thing is
No, I can't explain that.
But the obvious thing is, stop having children, get a job, stop expecting money from the state. Most of us have the amount of children we can afford, and we work if we have children. It's so inverted, and it's just, what is our society rewarding now? It's rewarding fecklessness, and it's punishing responsibility.
Do you know what we're going to go back to now? I can remember the dark days before the 2-child cap came in. And there were families all over the country who had children as a business. And they would have 8 and 9 children and be getting £120,000 a year in benefits. We're going to go back to that now. Thank you very much, Labour.
Do you know what's really sick, actually? If you have a medium income job and 3 kids, you actually now have less expendable income, less disposable income than you do if you have 3 kids and don't have a job.
I mean, Rafe,
that is evil.
Absolutely. I mean, Rafe, what do we do? This has never really happened before. In the past, politicians were slippery snakes. They were obfuscators. They avoided a direct question, but they had this kind of code that even no matter how ridiculous you look on television or on the radio, you don't tell a direct lie. We now have a government just lie. They just lie to our faces, and we know it. What do we do about that?
Well, it's because in the past there was an understanding that if you went into politics, you were a gentleman or a gentlewoman, and you lived by those codes.
It's a code.
That's why we had conventions as well. We expected people to just abide by things without having the need for all of that. We've lost all of that in politics. We are catering to the lowest common denominator. I would say the only solution is to get rid of the uniparty and have a complete overhaul, and hope, for goodness sake, that the next lot that are elected do have at least more of a moral backbone and a conscience, because, of course, they would understand the British public have been lied to so often, they've been betrayed to so often, that can't go on forever. And if you want to have a real sea change in politics, it doesn't just mean doing things on immigration and mass deportations. It means actually being honest with the people and renewing that covenant.
Let's move on. It's Candice, and you want to talk about the Jezbollah party. What would you like to say?
Amazing. Your party has just become... It's entertaining.
Do you know, sorry to interrupt. You know what made me laugh about your party was that, well, this is like 6 months ago. We're not quite sure what we're going to call it, but for the time being, we'll just call it your party. 6 months later, we've had long and heated meetings about this, and we've come up with the name. We've decided to call it your party. Thanks very much.
I know, and all
whose party it is.
And all the pollsters have said, like, this is going to be an absolute nightmare when it comes to trying to find out what people support. Your party could get a bit confusing. They have just had their conference, and it's been an absolute clown show. It's all the pathologies of the woke left. It's pronoun policing. It's like bizarre moral gestures. It's endless factionalism. You had Zara Sultana boycotting the first day in protest. You'll have people going on stage and going off on long rants about transphobia when they're supposed to be talking, I don't know, about tax or something. You've got all this endless fighting between, is Jeremy Corbyn anti-Zionist enough? You've got the Gaza MPs falling out with Zara Sultana over trans rights. I mean, the whole thing is just like a shambles.
And Corbyn was all fed up because they don't want him to be the leader. He'd always assumed he would be the leader. Well, look, here's a couple of stars on the podium at the Your Party. It's your party. They'll cry if they want to. Take it away, Aaron from Glasgow.
Hi there, conference. My name is Erin from Glasgow. When this party started, it included 2 MPs who were openly transphobic, one of whom was a landlord. This party preaches unity and equality for its working class members.
I'm sorry, I need to stop you there for calling them transphobic from the rostrum.
Erin was fired by the Scottish Greens for sexual misconduct. So it says quite something when the social Greens have a higher moral compass than your own party.
I also love the addition of going, we've got 2 MPs who are openly transphobic and one's a landlord.
And worse, one is a landlord.
Yeah, one's a landlord.
Here's another one. This is Joseph from Yorkshire.
My name is Joseph. I use she, they pronouns, and I come from West Yorkshire. I recently moved to Edinburgh, and I'm speaking for option A, to stand candidates as widely as possible. As we have seen with the 2 MPs who recently resigned after making transphobic comments.
Participant, please speak to the option.
I am speaking to the option. I'm addressing people's concerns.
I mean, it's just a comedy show.
They're not bringing their best.
Really? Really?
The thing is, though, I go back to Alex's comment on David Lammy, is that a dangerous idiot is still dangerous. You know, these people could actually take quite significant control
I've
of
got this
Labour.
feeling I don't think
they're
either
being
Aaron or Joseph are particularly dangerous.
Yeah, but
I think they're being outflanked by the Greens.
Yes,
because the Greens are doing a similar thing, but Zach Polanski has been much more shrewd. There's all this disillusionment on the left, and they've sort of come up with the same sort of alliances, actually.
Yeah, boob hypnotiser. If he gets his teeth done, he could be a real tour de force. At the moment, he looks like Plug from the Beano.
But if you look at that conference, it looks like the extras from the Star Wars jazz bar scene. But you're quite right. The Green Party is going to win over this. They've done away with their co-party leaders, knowing that you need to have one leader in Zach Polanski. Your party have done just the opposite. They're going to have an entire committee rather than one leader, and that is straight out of the communist playbook. The Soviet Union had a central committee ruling the country with a general secretary at its head. This is a telling sign about how they want this nation to go.
Well, democracy has to stop somewhere. Someone has to make the decisions, and if you become lost in democratic hell, that's what happens.
It's like you say, it's every kind of stereotype in one room. But I always go back. You're right about the Greens, but with Zach Polanski, I look at the rapid rise of the Greens, and I look at that as the decline of the Labour Party and of the traditional party's collapse is leading people to push to the extremes. And that's my bigger concern, actually, is that these people may end up actually having a bit of power, and the Greens in particular probably a lot of power in the next Parliament.
I wanted, I've lost all hope now, but I wanted your party to prosper and be a massive success, because they could, if they got their act together, which they clearly can't, they could deal a mortal blow to the Labour Party.
Oh, yes, they're worried.
But this is a shambles.
Yeah.
The thing about Polanski, or David Paulden, as his real name is, I loathe everything he stands for, everything about him, but he's a good performer.
You think so?
Yeah, he is a good performer.
I don't think he's a good performer. I think what's happened is he is being massively overly promoted apropos of nothing. And it makes me very suspicious why all of a sudden they can see the Labour Party's hemorrhaging votes. They know there's going to have to be a left-wing coalition to keep out reform. This is what's going to happen. It'll be the left-wing anti-reform vote, the stop reform vote. So they have to build up these other extremes, because that's where the Labour Party's votes are going. It is totally artificial. The man's not that popular. He ain't that articulate. He's got no charisma.
Well, he is articulate.
I don't think he is.
Articulate.
He's not. He just goes, ooh.
You just don't like what he says.
How do you really feel?
You just don't like. Do you know how hard it is for me to say that he's quite a good performer?
I don't think he's articulate at all.
The thing is,
he is articulate.
You've got to look at the
He's a
rapid
good
membership
performer.
growth, though, haven't you? The fact of 80,000 members have joined the Green Party since he became leader. There's a reason people are going towards it, and it is because of the collapse of the Labour Party. And it's that kind of middle-class vote that don't quite realise what they're voting for, because they think Green Party's about protecting wildlife.
He's not educated. He was asked a lowball question by a press person, who are your favourite economists? He named 3 social media influencers, none of whom are recognised by anybody.
I'll tell you why, Rafe. He did drama at Aberystwyth University. I mean, for God's sake. Let's move on. It's Peter Barnes, and I can't imagine where you got this idea
I can't
from.
imagine. No, me neither.
I interviewed Pete about this last night on my show. The Political Asylum, 7 to 10, 5 days a week, from Monday to Friday. Don't ever miss it. Pete was on it last night with this story.
Yes.
Take it away.
So this is Bristol Council through a subsidiary company, and they've got these dust vans all up in the Pride livery colours. It's cost them nearly £1,500 to do this. And a council that is pretty cash-strapped as it is, they're charging people left, right and centre for everything. It's run by the Green Party, just putting that out there. But it's just this, yet again, this nonsense of everything, just cover everything in the pride flag and we're doing things for the gays. It is pathetic. It is absolutely infuriating. It's infantilising, and it's got to stop, because you're not helping anybody with a dust van. I know, I'm not being funny, but
it's like I agree with Pete. At some point, you have to sort of decide where you're going to stop painting things in the colour of pride. What does that say? Helping Bristol shine with pride. I mean, come on, look at that's just so absurd.
It's not glamorous.
It's only, but Alex, it's only £1,500, but this stuff all mounts up. That £1,500, that's down to taxpayers. They have to pay for this. So I would suggest that they stop doing this and they take that £1,500 and use it for something that might be useful to taxpayers.
His job itself might have cost £1,500, but there'd have been a consultancy over the design, the DEI person who had to then hire a company for it. That would not have been £1,500. No. All told, that is probably someone on a 100k salary with a consultant on another 100k salary and a consultancy charge, which, I mean, it's come on.
By the way, Rafe, we need to talk about Bristol. Bristol, the Avon Somerset Fire Service, Avon and Somerset Fire Service, which covers Bristol, has just fired its fire chief because he allowed his staff to use the word firemen instead of firefighters. Bristol in particular seems to be lost in woeful wokery.
Remember, Bristol was a place they knocked down the statue of Robert Bruce.
Exactly.
It is the hotbed of all this. But it boils my blood, this idea that fireman is somehow sexist. The suffix man is gender neutral. It has been since old Anglo-Saxon times. You used to have a wap man and a whiff man, where you get wife from. Man was always meant human. Are we going to say that woman is a sexist term because there's man in it, or human? Man is gender neutral. Over time, the WAP man became just the man. Whiff man became woman eventually. But at its origin, it's entirely gender neutral. That's why we can say mankind. We need to, and stop calling people items of furniture. You're the chairman. You're not the chair.
Well, I'm a journalist who worked on newspapers all my life, and most of the departments are named after furniture. News desk. Features desk. Shall we go to a break? Let's do that, shall we?
Live Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back, part 2 of Plank of the Week, and now it's time for the winner because it's my go. This is another example of the BBC and everything that's wrong with it. I mean, ridiculously, our state broadcaster still fines hundreds, probably thousands of people every year for not paying their licence fee. And not so long ago, it was a reasonably regular occurrence that people would go to jail for not paying to watch things like Strictly Come Dancing. This is the story of a 69-year-old man, a pensioner with dementia, living in Bradford. His daughter comes in. She realises just how far out of control this is. And so she gets power of attorney to pay all his bills. She gets in touch with the court and said, well, look, my father's got dementia and, I'm trying to deal with the chaos now. I've paid a lot of the bills. She said, I didn't spot the TV licence thing. What it was he wasn't maintaining his payments. He was paying by the month and he didn't maintain them. So he pleaded guilty. They charged him £50 costs. And this is the thing that struck me. They also charged him a £26 victim surcharge. So this is an old pensioner with dementia forced to pay his victim, the state broadcaster, the BBC, a giant behemoth of a broadcasting company that receives once a year from all of us suckers, by law, £3.8 billion in TV licence fees. And this guy had to pay the BBC a £26 victim surcharge. It's just disgusting, isn't it?
It's crazy. I mean, the licence fee is definitely a mess. What is really angering me about the BBC at the moment is every time, because I quite like BBC Sounds. I listen to various shows on the radio of the BBC, and there are some good things out there still. There are, I quite like a bit of In Our Time. May that continue forever.
The Moral Maze.
So, yeah, there's some decent stuff.
They've never invited me on that. I don't know why.
But what annoys me is I go onto BBC Sounds to find the archives, right, which is what it should be, and they've got every Tom, Dick and Harry making some podcast. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
They're obsessed with podcasts.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if, this washed-up has-been celebrity, or now it's Phillips Sounds, KC, that blimmin' lawyer at the Matrix Chambers who's trying to sell off the frickin' Jago Silence. Actually, not sell it off, make us pay to give it away. They've given him a podcast now. I'm like, who next? Going to get blimmin' Shamima Begum making a podcast.
Well, hang on. They did a podcast series
about her. But I'm like, if these washed-up celebrities like Makita Oliver and whoever else want to make a podcast, if these characters want to make a podcast, they can do what everyone else does, which is buy a Yeti mic, put interesting things on their bookshelf and sit and do it themselves. I don't want to pay for them.
I just think this. The BBC, its entire business model is anachronistic. We're looking at Hugh Edwards, the former...
Yeah, what is that, the montage of paedophilia?
The paedophile newsreader.
That is like the paedo jigsaw.
Rolf Harris, a paedophile. Jimmy Savile, paedophile. It's a haven for paedophiles. I don't want to give it any more money. But the business model is ridiculous. The BBC, like other broadcasting companies, I don't want to see it go. But it needs to stand on its own 2 feet. Yeah. And if it was forced to either run on subscriptions or advertising, it would have to, like the commercial channels, produce programmes that people wanted to watch.
I'm going to say that's the point, isn't it? There's no threat of it ever going away. The money tap will always just keep running. That's the big problem, really, of the BBC, because it's no commercial awareness, because it doesn't need to be. And until they kind of get that into the heads, you're right, Kev, that this is only going to continue. But my point when it comes to this kind of the victim thing is always, I think we're the victims of the BBC. I think the country is, because yet again, we just spend so much time talking about their incompetence, their cover-ups, their fact that they think that they have some God-given right to exist. Yep. I find quite perverse and very worrying about when Deborah Turner's called them, oh no, sorry, it was Tim Davies said, well, you're the best of the profession and all that kind of stuff. I was like, you've just lied about the President of the United States, causing huge diplomatic incident.
And their big issue with being a commercial channel is, well, if we have to have advertising, we can't be impartial anymore. It's like, really?
You're not impartial now. We're not impartial now.
Well, it's all Robbie Gibbs' fault, so remember that.
Well, the BBC, watch this. This is why I get the big bucks. The BBC makes that programme Doctor Who and Alex is going to talk about doctors.
Hey, I love a good segue.
How good is that?
Yeah, Doctor
Not
Who.
very.
Yeah, Doctor Who indeed. Because if you go to hospital this winter, you might not actually see a doctor. Because yet again, the BMA have decided that doctors need to go on strike for 5 days. Now, what is incredible about all of this? We know that
They in your party.
The issue they are. The issue with the NHS is the massive backlog. It's the fact that you've got old people dying in their own urine in chairs in waiting rooms because they haven't got hospital beds, because there's just not enough anything. And so what do they think the best way of approaching this is? Oh, let's actually not work over the Christmas period when more people are in hospital than ever before. And the majority of members of the BMA don't even vote for these strikes. It's a nasty, spiteful, radical leftist, sociopathic union that decides it doesn't matter if people die, doesn't matter if people live in chronic agony. They want their doctors who've already received about a 20% pay rise to get another 20% pay rise, and Mrs. Miggins can soak in her own feces for all they care. It is disgusting.
It really is, isn't it, Candice?
Oh, it is. I mean, it's this. I think the BMA epitomises so much. Like you said, are they in your party or are they in the Greens? Because I think it's all of a piece. It's like this entitled, narcissistic, woke victimhood. We're the victims. These are people who earn enormous salaries over the course of their career. They get incredibly generous pensions. There is no way that they are hard done by, but they've convinced themselves that they are.
Do you remember when the consultants were on strike and they were down at St Thomas's? I remember going past there once. They're all out on a picket line, and round the corner there are all these Rolls Royces and Porsches parked. They were their cars. Let's have a look at Julia putting a doctor in her place.
What is this toxic environment they're working in? Who's making it toxic?
Everything. The whole system is designed less to actually care for the staff that are delivering the care and more about numbers.
Diddums. I mean, good.
Well, it's not
I tell you
possible
what,
to
you
care.
try
It's
working
not
in a
possible to
newsroom in the
provide care.
1990s where you're called the C word at 5:30 in the morning and you take it. I mean, I'm sorry, diddums.
I was just saying, trying the 1980s, Julia, it was a lot worse than that. But yeah, these doctors are so entitled, aren't they, Rafe?
They're completely entitled, and of course this is a complete violation of the most fundamental principle, which is the Hippocratic Oath that they're supposed to take. They're supposed to live and die by that oath, and if you can just do away with it when it's convenient to you, I think that strikes at the heart again of our trust in doctors. If every single institution, it seems to be paying a competition to see who can erode their trust faster.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pete, do you think, and I think, you know, they've so abused their right to strike, these doctors and nurses as well. But by the way, their unions, they've both got sort of pompous names. The British Medical Association, the Royal College of Nursing. They're just lefty unions. But they've so abused this. And every time they go on strike, people die because of it. I find it incredible that in this country, we allow people to die on the altar of industrial action by medical professionals. We should not, if they're going to do this, we should take the right to strike away from them, just like we have the army, the police, prison officers. They are a crucial start.
Oh, without a doubt. And that's the thing. It's actually the BMA that have forced us into that decision because of their recklessness. And what I really hate is when they say, well, we don't want to go on strike.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, you do. Because this is nothing but greed. It's greed. Because they say it's about conditions and all the rest of that stuff. All you do is you throw more money at them and they suddenly go back to work and the conditions don't change. So it's not about that. It is absolutely ridiculous. Because I go back to the case of John Doyle, where in the coroner's report, the strikes was put down as a cause and a contributing factor of his death. And it's absolutely sickening that the people you're relying on to keep you alive are just going to walk out the door the moment they want some more money.
If you sit there and you decide, I want a career in medicine, it is not the blimmin', riddle of the Sphinx what you're going to be paid. It's a public sector job. You know exactly what your starting salary is going to be, and you know exactly what your final salary could be if you decide to go into consultancy or become a surgeon or something. So they go into this knowing that, right, when I'm a junior doctor, I'm straight out of medical school, this is where I am on the salary ladder. And if I, persist and work hard, I get to the point where I work 1 day a week and make £1 million a year. Great, lucky you. So this whole idea, we want more money, it's like you knew when you went into this profession what the pay was.
Yeah. The thing is, though, that most of the people asking for the pay rise were about 10 years old when they should have got the original one. And like, you have to remember that the BMA accepted a significantly bad deal at one point that has caused them to have the pay problems. It's ridiculous. But like, yet again, it's the taxpayer that's got to prop up a failing health system.
But as Rafe was saying, Candice, you know, to be a doctor and a nurse, it's a calling. It's a higher calling. It shouldn't be about money grabbing. And these people don't seem to understand the kind of jobs we're in. And what I find astonishing is that we live in a country that is prepared to accept people going out on strike and people dying because of it.
Exactly. There's a lack of moral clarity. It's who are they essentially using as their bargaining chips? The ill, the dying, the elderly, the vulnerable.
We should just say, look, people are going to die because of this strike, therefore you can't go on strike. We're not going to allow people to die because you want 10 quid a week more.
Yes.
We better move on. I read this story this morning, Rafe. It's extraordinary. Take it away.
Yes, well, we've had doctors. Now let's look at the police. West Yorkshire police in particular, once again, are in the crosshairs. They arrested a man for posting his holiday snaps in which he was firing a gun on a shotgun there, you see, on a firing range.
In Florida, right?
And the police said, arrested him and told him that he must think before he posts about how people might feel seeing this. I mean, who cares how people feel? I was so irate, I had an Spartacus moment. So I put on Twitter pictures of me firing a shotgun, as you can see here. I think, because this is, I'm in the red trousers, by the way.
Countryman.
Scaring off all the wildlife with those trousers as well. But the point is, of course, this is so dystopian. You know, the world is looking at Britain now as being, you know, completely off its rocker. And the idea that you can't actually post a picture holding a shotgun is completely wrong. It's perfectly legal to do that, whether you're doing it in America, as this guy was, whether you're doing it in Britain. The fact that they chose to arrest him, knowing full well that the Crown Prosecution Service would drop those charges because there's no evidence, there's no basis for this. So why on earth? He was arrested multiple times. He was released and then rearrested.
And this guy is a regular guy. He's an IT expert. And I think the important thing to say was those pictures. He was posing with a gun in Florida, where weaponry, having guns, shooting is totally legal. So what is that all about?
Because that's the point. But a lot of Brits who go to America, it is actually going to do the gun culture thing. You know, it's a big trade. I think he was on like a stag do or something, if I remember rightly. But yeah, it's the fact that the police have spent time, resources in like investigating this and then going to arrest him, knowing full well, as Rafe said, that the Crown Prosecution were never going to take it forward. And yet then they'll cry foul of not having enough resources.
Are you sure about that?
Well,
you can never trust the CPS.
That's a bigger problem.
The police do this, they roll the dice. They think we've got a chance with this, and there's a chance that well, the police never particularly know that the CPS aren't. They wouldn't do it if they didn't think they had a chance. So, you know, that's the police going, oh, the CPS will approve that. I don't even understand what law it is he's supposed to have broken.
I know, it's so Orwellian to say to someone, think before you post. I mean, this is where we're at right now, and I don't think that anyone's over-exaggerating the free speech issue. This is very, very, very real, and it's very dystopian.
We've got JD Vance yet again having to interject in, British foreign affairs on the issues of free speech. And we've got somebody's coming from America, isn't she?
All the American diplomats have been told to report what's going on in the UK back to the White House because they are really worried.
Absolutely. Rafe, was that clay pigeon shooting?
Yeah, I was clay pigeon shooting.
Are you a good shot?
That's why I was doing red, because you'll scare away any birds if you're doing... I'm a half decent shot. But, you know, the point here is this is all about...
You could be in trouble for this picture.
Well, that's what I want. Come and get me, PC Plod.
And on that bombshell, let's go to break.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back. This is part 3 of Plank of the Week, and we're going to the theatre with Candice Holdsworth.
I couldn't quite believe this when I heard this story. I thought like Drag Queen Story Hour was about 4 years ago, but no, it's still going on. So the Richmond Theatre have received a lot of criticism, I think quite rightly, for putting on a drag queen show that's marketed at 0 to 5s.
For 5, kids, 5 years and under.
Look, I'll say it at the outset, I'm no stodgy prude. I've been to drag nights with a group of women. I found it absolutely hilarious, but that is the key distinction. It is for adults.
Adults, yeah.
It is not for children. I have 2 under 4. How do I explain to my 4-year-old what Tanya Lecoq means, which is the name of the lead performer who's doing this show? You know, drag used to be a form of avant-garde art. It was subversive. It is not suitable for children. Children want to watch The Very Hungry Caterpillar.
What is it about drag queens that they want to tell little children's stories? You don't have coppers going, we all want to tell stories to kids. You don't have plumbers saying, we all want to tell stories to little kids. It's only drag queens want to do that. You're a mum, what do you think that's about? I think I know.
Well, yeah, as well. I mean, so there have been people convicted for that, but I think it's just this big wokeification of everything, where you're a bigot if you object to something. And it started in San Francisco, the Drag Queen Story Hour, and it became all about like enforcing rigid equality and diversity. So they started trying to lecture kids about that. And if anyone questioned it, because you couldn't question it, there was like a form of soft totalitarianism at the time, there was something wrong with you. And I think a lot of it is also to do with adults wanting to indoctrinate children because they've lost the argument with other adults and they can't convince them, so they go for kids.
It's the indoctrination of kids, it's the sexualisation of children, something that generally, not just drag queens, we need to rail against. It's a really bad... Let kids be bloody kids, for Christ's sake. Let's move on and talk about, it's a super embassy. Who is behind this?
Well, it's the Chinese. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
It's like in Scooby-Doo when you pull the mask off. It's the Chinese. But no. So yet again, it's looking like the embassy, they've had to...
It's right in the middle of London.
Yes, it's actually not that far away from here. It's at the Old Mint building. It's cost them 250
in the middle of the city,
in the middle of the city. And what's really important about why this is such a controversial issue is it's right near some of the major data centres and the connecting wires between the City of London and Canary Wharf. And they have, in the original plans, there's these secret bunkers and all this kind of stuff. And yet the Labour Party are still, to this day, charging right ahead with it. Just today, Keir Starmer's been out saying, it'll be a great thing for Britain to be your home of the Chinese and all this kind of stuff. And it's just staggering to me that yet again, we're just letting China in through the front door. They already own...
the front door,
the front door this time. They already own the back door, the windows and all the fixtures and fittings. I mean, for me, this embassy is actually just China saying, we could do what we want here because we own you. See, this is like Russia will invade you. China just simply repossesses you. And it's terrifying.
All over Africa as well.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, Rafe. There are 2 things about this. Well, lots of things about this super embassy. Labour are obviously letting it go ahead because, like all British governments, they talk tough about the Chinese, but they basically want to stick in with them so they can do trade deals and make money. But this embassy, what they're really worried about is underneath it, all the cables and God knows what, that they fear that the Chinese will tap into all of our communication cables.
If you were going to come up with a stupid plot to a James Bond film, it would be allowing the Chinese to have access to one of the world's global financial centres. The City of London is where you could destroy the whole world economy if you wanted to from that base.
It's like the worst Bond film, though, ever.
But also these... But these cellars could also be used to detain dissidents, because we know that there's huge intimidation and threats made against Chinese dissidents living here, against their families back home. We know what they're doing geopolitically to try to alienate Britain from the Commonwealth. That's one of the reasons that Barbados became a republic, was because China's investment there. We've seen them doing industrial-scale espionage in our universities and in business, these Confucius centres, which are sort of communist recruiting grounds. Everything. We've had MI5 and MI6 classify them as an enemy. Now, the Labour, when Britain and the West were great, it was because we were strong, self-confident and assertive. That's what China is. That's what Russia is. They only respect strong nations. This is not strength.
And so you were saying, Pete, I mean, what we should be saying, in my view, is why do you need the biggest embassy in the world? Why do you need it to be in the heart of the City of London? They're going to tap into the financial cables, the information
they
cables.
Bought the building
this is going to be a massive, great spy centre.
So it's actually a consolidation of 7 embassies that they have throughout London in one super embassy. This is the big thing, is why do they have 7 embassies? It's rather crazy, but they did this. They bought it back in 2018. So this has been a part of a long-term plan that they've had. You know what China is like? They will wait. And it's terrifying that we're so ingrained and so attached to China now. because of, poor economics and our obsession with net zero, any kind of move against them, they could just strangle us because they've got the ports, so that's the supply chains. But the education system, 25% of most Russell Group universities rely on Chinese students. They suddenly start saying, you can't go to Britain. That is the end of some of the biggest universities in this country. And it has been allowed to happen because we've just welcomed it in. I just don't understand
it. And it will continue to place Chinese money and influence is intertwined right into the heart of British culture, British society, America, all over the world. They're good, those people. We shouldn't be allowing them to have this huge, huge building in the middle of the city. And we'd better go to break.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back. This is the final segment of this fantastic edition of Plank of the Week. And it's my go. He's a regular star of this show. It's Sir Lenny Henry. There he is. He's got that funny red nose on, isn't he? Funny. Not for about 50 years, I don't think. But he's been quite funny here, I think. He's heading up a group of lovies. They're going to be called Together. Sir Lenny, Charlotte Church, former Doctor Who, Christopher Eccleston. I know you're a big fan, Rafe. It's Little Mix singer Lee Ann Pinnock.
My favourite.
Yeah, she's your favourite. Maxine Peake, Steve Coogan, Kneecap, of course, Frankie Boyle. More than 50 organisations are also involved, including our favourites, Corbyn's Your Party, the Communist Party, the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, Stand Up to Racism, the National Education Union and the TUC. Not forgetting 30 MPs have all signed up. And the mission of Sir Lenny and his gang is this: to fight and fight and fight and stop the rise of Nigel Farage and Reform UK. They are your favourite stars and they hate you. They hate what you believe. They hate your politics because they are rich enough to be stupid socialists. Frightening, hey, Alex?
Frankly, I find it really, really ugly when celebrities are actively trying to block democracy. That isn't funny.
They're misusing their platform,
horrific.
aren't they? Yeah.
And one assumes actually their headquarters is going to be in the Chinese mega embassy because that's probably... No, genuinely, a lot of these organisations funded by seed companies are getting money from hostile states. So these idiot celebrities with their massive egos who absolutely despise the very people who have put them in their positions in their career, are trying to actively block democracy while taking handouts from countries that would wipe us off the face of the earth. They are vile.
Also,
and they should be arrested for it, frankly.
Because you've got form with Lenny Henry on this show, haven't you? You nominated one of the greatest winners of all time, Sir Lenny Henry, for proposing that Britain hands over £18 trillion in reparations for slavery, which would completely bankrupt the country, plunge millions of people into poverty. But at least Lenny could polish his halo. Isn't that wonderful? But also, Rafe, they want to they want to stop what they call far-right street protests. So they're not keen on the right to protest.
No, and the key thing here, the communists had a name for people like this, Polenzi Duraki, useful idiots, people who think that they are influential and powerful, but are actually completely ignorant and stupid, get funded. And the fact that they're choosing to ally with the Communist Party, with Kneecap, tells you everything you need to know. And I long for the day. I never knew what the two Ronnies' political views were, where Morecambe and Wise were. So the whole nation could watch these people together, not caring about politics. As soon as these people open their mouths, they immediately divide society. You wonder why people aren't watching the BBC and so forth. It's because everything has become polarised. I want, celebrities to actually appeal to everybody with comedy. I can't even watch Steve Coogan now every time I used to like him because I know that he loathes me and our kind.
You plebs, you might pay our wages, but we're left-wing and we don't like your political opinions. No. Well, to hell with you, Lenny, and your gang, your halo-polishing, virtue-signalling gang. Now it's time to pick the winner, and I think I've pre-decided this. I think Rafe is the winner because Rachel Reeves, liar, liar, pants on fire, must be the plank of the week. That is it. Thank you very much to Alex Phillips, Rafe Heydel-Mankoo, Candice Holdsworth, and the brilliant Pete Barnes. It's been a fantastic show. I've been Kevin O'Sullivan. You've been a great audience. We'll be back next week with more planks.